Hey everybody, Peter Sciretta here with
Germain Lussier
from slashfilm.com, and we are here at the Cinemark Theater in
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, near LAX. I forget the name of this complex, Howard Hughes Center. Right. But basically here they have opened one of, I think, five theaters, Barco Escape, which is a new technology. It's the new
it's the new sort of twist on filmmaking, film going, where you had IMAX and we did a 4DX review. Barco Escape is sort of the next thing, and it's sort of like a Cinerama Dome or a Cinescope that you saw back in decades ago, where there's one screen and then there's screens to the other side of it that make it a huge panoramic experience.
And to the other side, it's not like Cinerama Dome where it's all in front of you. It's actually screens on either side of the theater. So you
not
are
all the way back, about maybe like a quarter of the way back, at least in this theater. I think
I would say halfway, but
yeah.
So basically, you are getting a 160-degree view.
160-degree view, and
I think they claim 2-something, but it's more of 160.
And we saw The Maze Runner, which is the first movie that they're releasing this in 5 theaters across the country, like Peter said. And we're not going to review the movie, which I liked. And then
I liked it too.
And they did about 7 minutes of the movie in this.
Yeah. They said they're working on getting it up to 19 minutes, and around the country there's going to be 7 minutes. And they're calling it an experiment, and it is an experiment.
It's an early phase.
Yeah.
This is we're going to put it out in the world and see what people think of it. And I think it's very promising. I think that it's something that you almost want to see the whole movie in, because the first scene we saw is an elevator. The elevator going up. It's the first scene in the movie. It's in the trailers, and it's integrated incredibly well. Where these white lines are coming down, and as you see the elevator going up, and it's almost like it's encompassing you like this every time. And I really like that effect to it. And
it almost feels more immersive at times than 3D. You hear the word immersive with 3D, but and it's not even just stuff is going on beside you, but you feel like you're more in it.
I think it's because it's so bright.
Yeah.
It's really bright because you used to see a 3D movie automatically darkens it because you're putting something over your eyes. This has to be brighter because it's 3 screens. And the way it works is, if this is the main screen, there's 2 screens and there's projectors going like this across. And then that was the first scene. And then the second scene was, again, you see in the trailers, is with these blades, these pieces of a maze that
It's big climactic action scene where they're running through the maze.
Yeah. And I thought that worked a little bit less well, and I think I just thought it was because it's very complicated visually with all these things moving around, and sometimes it was a seamless transition from from the main screen to the other screen, and sometimes it wasn't a seamless transition.
Yeah.
It was 85% seamless, I thought. But some of it was not, and I kind of spent half the time watching just those screens, and while again 85% of the time it was very, very good, 15% of the time you could see that so it looked really
it should be mentioned, and this is going to sound horrible, okay? this movie was not planned for this. So the footage that we see on the side is a combination of them stretching stuff that is coming off the screen and them rendering in a video game engine the sides. That sounds horrible. It sounds like something I would never want to see.
Right, but like we said, it's the first experiment.
But honestly, it worked incredibly well. It might be that it's this movie and you're running through concrete walls, which could easily be rendered with a video game engine. I'm not sure how.
There's bushes and stuff on the sides, and you never see characters out there. It's all just scene extension.
Yeah. But I could see a movie like Tron or something where it's a fully CG world. If they could just render that, maybe even lower resolution with video game.
It's almost like if you were watching Star Wars and they go into light speed, and the light speed just went from the center of the screen all the way out to way the whole theater. That would be really cool. What also I think the problem is with this early test with it is that this theater was sort of retrofitted to fit the Barco. So they added in 2 screens. There's little black spaces. And it's not that it's sort of boxy. The angles are not that good. If they had a bigger, wider theater, they could make it wider and it would look more panoramic. And they could put
I'm interested. We sat way in the back. I'm interested, next time if they do another film in this format, which I think they will. Sitting a little bit closer so it fills up your peripheral. We were kind of we could see the edges of the screen on either side, so we weren't completely in it. But one of my criticisms are those black lines. I wish it almost curved and kind of continued.
But I think that's something that will probably come. Yeah, and
I will say this: that the first time they showed us like some footage from Wes Ball's short film Ruin, that they had done previously with this technology. And I think they actually rendered some of that specifically for that film, not with video game engines. And when I first saw that, it was almost like the first time I saw The Dark Knight and the screen, filled up the whole IMAX. It was a feeling I haven't gotten from cinema in a while. And I'm not saying that this is the future, because obviously it can't be done in every theater. But Barco is the projectors of all Cinemark theaters.
Yeah, so which is why
theoretically
it's here.
They could do it in all the theaters.
And what I found interesting, and again, we only saw this first movie, is that one of the spokesmen for Barco said it's a different experience every little place you sit, and you could see that. Whereas 3D, you could sit everywhere and it always looks the same. Yeah. Here, if you sit lower, it's going to be different, and higher, you're going to get a more a wider view.
Is it worth going out of your way, traveling an hour to see this experience right now? Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know.
For 9 minutes or 7 minutes.
7 minutes. It's really just two scenes, and they're cool. But I think the potential is huge here. It's really, really cool. I mean, they just keep looking for something to make you want to go to the theater and not be at home. And I think this is a really good idea. And
it's really interesting too, because I'm always kind of like, if it makes the storytelling better, do it. Right? But does this improve the storytelling? Is it a gimmick? I don't know.
That's true. But it sort of rides the line, because I think it could be used. I mean, I don't know how much Wes Ball.
Yeah, like in a horror film, you could kind of see something coming from the side. It would be. Yeah, if the filmmaker's involved.
But is there a camera that goes that big? You have to shoot 3 cameras now to get this? I mean, you might have to. I don't know, but it's really interesting and really cool. And I guess right now, this Friday, Maze Runner is going to open in 5 theaters here in LA.
In this format. It's going to open wide everywhere.
In Barco. It's going to open somewhere outside of Dallas, in Florida, Northern California, and one other I can't remember. We'll put it in the article. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I think it's got a lot of potential.
One thing they definitely have to do, they need to get rid of this whole Barco Escape title. If they want to be the next IMAX or whatever they want to be.
Just call it Escape.
Yeah, well, I think even Escape doesn't sound, I don't know, it doesn't tell you what this is. Right. Not that IMAX did, but I don't know. Anyways, I really enjoyed it. I will, if there are more movies that do this, I will, and I want to see the movie, I will go out of my way to travel across the city.
You think better than 4DX?
Yes. Although I'm not a total 4DX basher you are. But I have not returned to 4DX. I have no plans to return to 4DX in the foreseeable future. But if Star Wars was in this format, I might not see it the first time in this format, but I would come. I would go out of my way to check this out.
I think it's a cool step. I think it has a couple problems. Oh, also, when you watch it, the white screens that are blank, it almost the light of the film reflects off it, and that sort of makes you realize there's other screens there, and that was a little bit of an issue.
What's weird is I've heard I have a lot of friends that have said that they don't like going to IMAX movies because you see the silver screen at the bottom and the top of the movie when it's not expanded. And that takes them out of the movie. And usually I don't recognize that. But in this movie, you're right. Yeah. That whole time, you recognize the sides of the screen when it's not being projected.
And I think it's just because of the reflection of the light. But again, it's something that if they changed the angle, it would probably work much, much better and made it one screen. Yeah. But you can find more of our work here on slashfilm.com. I'm Germain Lussier.
Peter Sciretta.